Part 1. Stop begging. Start becoming the hook. Imagine a young man sitting by his phone, staring at the screen, waiting for a text message that never comes. He checks it again and again, hoping for a reply from someone who barely notices him. He feels frustrated, anxious, and invisible. Now imagine another man across town. He isn't waiting on anyone. He is busy improving his skills at work, exercising at the gym, and enjoying his hobbies. Strangely enough, people begin noticing him. Friends call him up, new opportunities come his way, and even romantic interests approach him. What is the difference between these two men? It isn't luck. It isn't chance. It's energy and mindset. The first man radiates neediness and scarcity, and the second radiates confidence and value. And here's the truth: the universe always rewards the second attitude. Napoleon Hill taught that the world does not pay you for begging. It pays you for becoming valuable. When you stop chasing and start building yourself, you flip the switch from scarcity to abundance. The story of transformation. Let me tell you about Sarah, a young professional who used to chase everything: attention, friendships, even clients at work. She thought if she worked harder at convincing people to like her, then she would finally feel secure. But the harder she chased, the more people seemed to pull away. Her bosses overlooked her. Clients rejected her proposals. Friends ignored her calls. She came home every night wondering, what is wrong with me? One day, Sarah stumbled upon a simple idea. What if instead of chasing others, I invested in myself? She stopped begging for validation and began focusing on building her skills, setting clear boundaries, and working on her confidence. She made her health a priority. She read inspiring books, practiced gratitude, and dedicated herself to doing excellent work without demanding recognition. Something amazing happened. Within months, her boss began noticing her. Clients started seeking her out. Old friends reached back to her. She hadn't chased any of them. She had simply raised her own value. And that is the principle Napoleon Hill described in Think and Grow Rich: the law of attraction through definite purpose and self-confidence. The principle here is the lesson. The moment you stop begging for what belongs to you, the universe begins delivering it in abundance. Begging energy comes from fear. It says, I am not enough. I need you to complete me. But this vibration only pushes what you want further away. Confidence energy comes from self-worth. It says, I am already valuable. I bring something of worth to the table. And this vibration naturally attracts the right people, opportunities, and resources. Hill called it a definiteness of purpose, a clear decision to create value from within, not wait for someone else to hand it to you. Everyday examples: the entrepreneur who stops pitching to every uninterested client and instead delivers amazing results for the ones he already has, soon finds that word-of-mouth referrals bring in new business. The student who stops begging professors for grades and instead studies to master the material, soon finds recognition and opportunities coming naturally. The job seeker who stops calling employers every day in desperation and instead develops new skills, networks genuinely, and builds confidence, soon finds better offers on the table. Why? Because in each case, the shift is from scarcity energy to abundance energy. The hidden cost of begging: think about it. Every time you chase, you're telling the world, I am powerless. I am incomplete. I need you to make me whole. That energy repels people. Nobody wants to be responsible for filling another person's emptiness. But when you stop begging and start becoming, you declare, I am enough. I add value. I respect myself. That energy is magnetic. People want to be around it. Employers hire it. Partners commit to it. Friends respect it. The law of energetic resonance. Napoleon Hill taught that your thoughts become things. He said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. When you beg, you are conceiving lack. You are believing in unworthiness. So you achieve rejection. When you focus on becoming, you conceive growth. You believe in value. And you achieve abundance. This is not just philosophy, it is psychology and energy. Like attracts like. Desperation attracts rejection. Confidence attracts opportunity. The turning point here is the truth you must remember. You attract who you are, not what you want. If you want respect, stop begging for it and start living respectably. If you want love, stop chasing it and start being a loving, whole person. If you want success, stop grasping for quick wins and start building real skills and value. Once you make this shift, you stop living as a reactor to circumstances and start living as a creator of circumstances. The call to action for part 1. So here's your challenge today. Stop chasing. Stop begging. Choose one area of your life where you've been desperate. Love, work, friendships, money, and declare, I will no longer beg. I will become. Write down 3 things you can do this week to improve yourself in that area. Remember, the world is waiting for you to step into your power. But it will not respond to begging. It will only respond to value, confidence, and definite purpose. Fire. That's part 1. 1,000 words, rewritten into Napoleon Hill style motivational storytelling. Backhand index pointing right. Question for you. Do you want me to now continue straight into part 2? Same structure. Hook, story, principle, examples, action. Or do you want me to first summarize all 6 parts themes before I expand each into full stories? Alright, white heavy check mark. Here's part 2 of your 6-part motivational story series, written in Napoleon Hill style, about self-worth, confidence, and building value instead of chasing approval. It's written in story-driven, simple American English, 1,000 words. Part 2, Stop Chasing, Start Building. Ethan sat at a small cafe table, his laptop open, his coffee untouched. He stared at the emails he had sent the night before. 20 in total. Offers to work for cheap, messages to potential clients saying, I can do this for you. Please give me a chance. I'll even lower my price. Not one had replied. The rejection stung, but the silence was worse. He thought to himself, why won't anyone respond? I'm trying so hard. I'm willing to work for less. Why doesn't anyone see my effort? This was not laziness. Ethan was working harder than most people he knew. He was running after opportunities with desperation. But that was the problem. He was running after. The truth Napoleon Hill often reminded us of is this. No one respects a beggar, not even a beggar. When you beg, you place yourself below the person you are asking from. You announce silently, I need you more than you need me. And in that moment you lose power. The illusion of effort. Many of us, like Ethan, confuse motion with progress. We send more messages, lower our prices, knock on more doors. But instead of raising our value, we dig ourselves into a deeper hole of desperation. It's like a man in a marketplace yelling, Please buy from me. I'll sell it for nothing." The crowd doesn't gather around him with respect. They walk past him, because cheapness signals weakness. Napoleon Hill taught that real wealth and opportunity flow to the person who stands firm on self-worth. You must give before you can get. But what you give must have value, not desperation. Sarah was an artist. For years, she begged people to notice her paintings. She posted online with captions like, "Please support me. Even a like means the world." But people ignored her work. One day, frustrated, she remembered a line from Hill. "If you do not value yourself, do not expect the world to value you." Instead of chasing approval, she decided to focus on mastery. She studied color theory, worked late into the night, and improved her technique. She stopped posting desperate messages and instead began sharing bold statements. "This is my art. This is my vision. If you want it, here's the price." Within a year, people who once ignored her were asking for her paintings. What changed? Her confidence. She stopped begging and started building. The principle of self-value. Napoleon Hill calls this faith. Not just faith in God or the universe, but faith in yourself. When you truly believe in your value, the world begins to reflect that belief back to you. Think of it like a mirror. If you stand in front of the mirror frowning, the reflection frowns back. If you smile, the reflection smiles. Life is the same. Desperation attracts rejection. Confidence attracts opportunity. This is not arrogance. It is self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic. The farmer's lesson. An old farmer once told his son, "If you chase the chickens, they'll run. But if you scatter the grain, they'll come." So it is with opportunities. If you chase them frantically, they flee. But if you quietly build value, skills, character, discipline, opportunities come looking for you. Napoleon Hill called this the law of attraction in action. What you are inside determines what you attract outside. Practical steps to stop chasing. If Ethan, Sarah, or you want to stop begging and start building, here are the daily disciplines. 1. Set standards. Decide today. I will no longer undercharge, undersell, or undervalue myself. Write down your true worth. 2. Build skill, not excuses. Spend 1 focused hour daily improving your craft, business, or health. Skill attracts. Desperation repels. 3. Speak with confidence. Stop using begging language. "Please, just give me a chance." Replace it with certainty. "Here's what I offer. Here's how it benefits you." 4. Serve first, but serve with strength. Deliver value freely, but from a place of abundance, not weakness. Give samples, not your soul. 5. Visualize your worth each morning. Close your eyes and imagine yourself as someone others seek after. Hill taught, "What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." Ethan's turning point. Back in the cafe, Ethan remembered something his father once told him. "Son, you don't chase a sunrise. You prepare for it, and it comes on its own." That day, instead of sending 20 desperate emails, Ethan wrote 1 clear message to a potential client. "This is what I do. This is how it solves your problem. Here is the price. No apology. No discount. No begging." The client said yes, not because Ethan lowered himself, but because he finally stood tall. The bridge to what comes next. This is the second law of transformation. Stop chasing and start building. When you place faith in yourself, when you raise your value, the world cannot help but respond. But there is a deeper challenge ahead. Many people build value for years and still find themselves distracted, scattered, and unable to focus their power. They have talent, they have skill, but they keep losing energy in the wrong places. In the next chapter, we will uncover Napoleon Hill's secret of focus, the ability to hold your mind on one definite purpose until it bends reality in your favor. White heavy check mark. That's part 2, fully written according to Napoleon Hill's principles: self-worth, faith, value building, law of attraction, and practical discipline. Wrapped in simple, story-driven style for American readers. Would you like me to now continue straight into part 3, focus and energy discipline? Or do you want me to first send you the outline of all 6 parts so you can see the big picture before we keep going? Part 3, the magnetic power of building yourself. When Marcus opened his small bakery, he worried constantly about the shop across the street. They had more staff, more money, more advertising. Every day he compared his sales to theirs, and every night he went home discouraged. Then one day, an older businessman gave him a piece of advice. Stop watching your neighbor's oven. Start making your bread the best in town. Marcus shifted his focus. Instead of worrying about competitors, he spent time improving his recipes, greeting customers warmly, and creating an experience no one else could copy. Within 2 years, his bakery became the busiest shop in the neighborhood. This is one of Napoleon Hill's timeless truths. Stop chasing what others have, and start building yourself. Why chasing doesn't work. When we chase, our energy screams of lack. We want something so badly, recognition, money, relationships, that people feel our desperation. They step back, because nobody is attracted to neediness. But when we focus on personal growth, confidence, and value, something amazing happens. People come toward us. They feel the strength, the calmness, the abundance. Napoleon Hill called this the law of attraction through personal development. What you are inside shapes what you attract outside. The athlete who stopped comparing. Take an athlete, for example. At first, she spends her time watching her rivals, worrying about their performance, and feeling insecure about her own. But when she decides to focus only on her training, her diet, and her mindset, her results skyrocket. Instead of wasting energy on comparison, she channels it into growth. She stops running away from her weaknesses and begins building her strengths. Soon, the results speak for themselves. The secret? Energy directed inward creates power. Energy directed outward in comparison creates weakness. The artist who found her voice. The same principle applies to artists. One young painter tried to guess what would sell. She imitated trends, copied popular styles, and begged for attention. Nothing worked. But then she stopped worrying about the market and started painting from her heart. Her work became authentic, powerful, and deeply moving. People began buying, not because she chased them, but because her authenticity attracted them. Hill reminds us, authentic value cannot be ignored. The leader who stopped impressing. Think about leadership. A manager who spends all his energy trying to impress the boss often loses the respect of his team. But a leader who genuinely serves his people, supports their growth, and delivers real results gains natural authority. Promotions come not from flattery but from value creation. Hill taught, you don't climb by pulling others down. You climb by lifting yourself and lifting others. The shift from needing to giving. The moment you stop saying, I need this from you, and start saying, Here's what I have to offer. Your energy changes. You transform from an energy drain into an energy source. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel better, stronger, more inspired. This doesn't mean becoming cold or refusing help. It means building such a strong foundation inside yourself that you can connect with others from abundance, not desperation. The romantic partner who is whole within themselves brings joy into a relationship, instead of expecting the relationship to fill an empty space. The professional who has genuine expertise and confidence wins respect because they solve problems, not because they beg for validation. The quiet traits of attractive people. If you look at people who seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, you'll notice common traits. They invest in their own growth. They hold standards that reflect self-respect. They offer value without keeping score. They remain calm and unattached to outcomes. They engage with curiosity instead of neediness. These traits are not luck. They are built through discipline and self-development. Practical lessons to apply. So how do we apply this magnetic principle in daily life? Napoleon Hill would suggest these steps. 1. Invest in growth daily. Spend time improving your skills, health, and mindset. Just 1 hour daily compounds into massive value. Point 2. Maintain high standards. Don't accept relationships or opportunities that lower your worth. Your standards teach the world how to treat you. Point 3. Give from strength. Share value freely, but not from desperation. People respect genuine contribution. Point 4. Stay unattached. Work hard. Aim high, but don't cling to outcomes. Confidence comes from knowing your worth regardless of results. Point 5. Turn energy inward instead of comparing, competing, or complaining. Ask, how can I improve myself today? Stories of transformation. The networker who stops going to events to get something and instead listens, learns, and contributes leaves with real connections. The entrepreneur who focuses on solving customer problems instead of chasing investors often attracts funding naturally. The individual who spends a breakup building skills, healing wounds, and pursuing passions emerges stronger and more attractive than before. In every case, the shift is the same, from chasing others to building self. The compound effect of self-development. Every moment you spend developing yourself pays interest across all areas of life. When you build skills, you become valuable at work. When you improve health, you have energy for your dreams. When you cultivate emotional balance, you make better decisions. When you create financial security, you interact from strength, not fear. On the other hand, every moment you spend chasing external approval gives you diminishing returns. The more you beg, the less respect you gain. The inner creates the outer. Hill often said, what the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But he also warned, you cannot achieve what you secretly doubt. If you hold scarcity, fear, or self-abandonment inside, the outside world reflects it back. But if you hold faith, growth, and self-respect, the outside world mirrors that too. The truth is simple. The world treats you as you treat yourself. The turning point. Marcus, the baker, finally understood this. His bakery stopped being a small shop competing with others. It became a place of warmth, authenticity, and excellence. People didn't just buy bread. They came for the experience. His success wasn't copied from anyone else. It came from within. And this is your challenge now. Stop chasing, start building. Bridge to part 4 inches. Part 3. We've discovered the magnetic power of building yourself instead of chasing others. But this raises a deeper question. How do you hold your mind steady when distractions, fears, and doubts keep pulling you off course? In the next chapter, Part 4, we will unlock Napoleon Hill's principle of definiteness of purpose and focus, the secret weapon that transforms raw energy into unstoppable momentum. Why heavy check mark? That's your Part 3, rewritten in Napoleon Hill motivational style. 1,000 words, story-driven, practical, and American English friendly. Part 4. The power of persistence and the right people. John sat at his desk late into the night. His papers were scattered, his notebook filled with half-finished ideas, and his mind was racing. For weeks, he had been trying to bring his new project to life. He had a clear vision. He wanted to build a business that would not only provide for him, but also make a difference in his community. But no matter how hard he tried, something always got in the way. First, it was money. Then it was doubt. Then it was the voice of friends who told him, "Maybe you're reaching too high. Maybe you should play it safe." For a moment, John almost believed them. He almost put his dream aside. But that night, as he looked at his scattered notes, he remembered something he had once read. Every setback carries within it the seed of an equal or greater advantage. The words hit him hard. If every challenge had a hidden gift, then maybe his struggles weren't roadblocks. Maybe they were lessons. He leaned back in his chair and whispered, "I will not quit." The enemy of fear. The next day, John walked into his workplace, and he saw fear everywhere. His coworkers complained about the economy, about how hard life had become, about why success was for other people. He noticed how fear was shaping their choices. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of trying. John made a decision right there. "I will not let fear be my master." He took a blank card and wrote in big bold letters, "I am bigger than fear. I am stronger than doubt. My vision will guide me." He placed that card in his pocket and carried it everywhere. Whenever doubt tried to whisper in his ear, he touched the card and reminded himself, "I choose faith over fear." The mastermind principle. But John also realized something else. He could not walk this road alone. No man succeeds in isolation. He remembered the principle of the mastermind alliance. The power of surrounding yourself with the right people. So he looked carefully at the people around him. Some drained his energy with negativity. Some told him to quit. But a few, just a few, believed in him. He began to spend more time with those people. A colleague named Sarah, who always encouraged him to keep moving. A retired businessman, Mr. Blake, who offered wisdom from years of experience. And his childhood friend, Daniel, who constantly reminded him of his potential. Together, they became his mastermind group. They shared ideas, encouraged each other, and reminded John of his vision when he felt weak. With their support, he no longer felt alone. The fire of persistence. One evening, after facing yet another failure, John felt exhausted. His proposal had been rejected again. He sat on his porch, watching the sunset, wondering if maybe his dream was too big. But then he remembered a story Mr. Blake had told him. When a miner digs for gold, he may dig hundreds of feet without finding anything. Most give up too soon. But sometimes success lies just 3 feet deeper. The one who persists is the one who wins. John smiled. He thought, maybe I'm just 3 feet away from gold. He stood up, clenched his fists, and said out loud, I will persist until I succeed. No matter how many times I fall, I will rise again. That night, he drew up a new plan, stronger than the last. He studied his mistakes, adjusted his strategy, and prepared for another attempt. Turning failure into fuel soon, John began to see setbacks differently. Instead of feeling crushed by them, he asked, "What is this trying to teach me?" When one investor said no, John used it as fuel to improve his pitch. When one customer doubted him, he used it as a chance to refine his product. When fear tried to whisper, he shouted back with faith. Slowly but surely, opportunities began to open. The right people noticed his determination. A small investor gave him his first break. His team began to grow. His project started moving forward, and John realized something powerful. It wasn't just talent or luck that made the difference. It was persistence. It was faith. It was surrounding himself with people who lifted him higher. A lesson for us all. John's story teaches us something timeless. Fear is real, but it is only as strong as the power you give it. Persistence is the fire that melts obstacles into opportunities. The right people in your circle can multiply your strength. Napoleon Hill once said, "A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits." John chose to be the winner who never quits. And so can you. Call to action if you are reading this right now. Remember, carry faith in your pocket, just like John did. Build your own mastermind group, people who believe in you. Treat every failure as a stepping stone, not a wall. Above all, persist. Your dream is not too big. Your future is not too far. You are just 3 feet away from gold. Stay strong, stay focused, and keep moving forward. White heavy checkmark. End of part 4. 1,000 words. Napoleon Hill inspired story format. Would you like me to also revise parts 1 to 3 in the same Napoleon Hill motivational story style, so the whole series feels consistent? Or should I keep moving forward with part 5 next in this exact style? Got it? Thumbs up. Here's part 5 of your motivational story series, written in easy and simple English, 1,000 words, and fully based on Napoleon Hill's principles. Part 5. The Power of Persistence and the Hidden Door to Success. David sat on his porch one evening, looking at the fading light of the sun. The day had been long, and his hands were tired from work. Yet his mind was restless. He had been chasing his dream for months, but the results seemed slow. He felt as if success was a wall, high and strong, with no way to climb it. At that moment, he remembered something his mentor had once told him. "David, most people give up when they are only 3 feet away from gold. They quit just before the hidden door opens." That sentence struck him deeply. He realized that his problem was not the size of the dream but the lack of persistence. Napoleon Hill taught that persistence is the iron quality of character. Without it, even the best plans die. With it, even small efforts grow into victory. The test of persistence. The next morning, David decided to test himself. Instead of complaining about slow results, he made a promise. No matter how tough the road became, he would keep moving forward every single day. When he worked at his shop, he stayed an extra hour to improve his skills. When he read, he pushed himself to study one more chapter. When he practiced, he refused to stop until he saw progress. At first, it was not easy. His body grew tired, and his mind whispered excuses. Why not rest today? Others are doing better. Maybe this dream isn't for you. What if you never succeed? But David had learned to fight back with persistence. He replied to his own doubts, "I will rest after the work is done. Others' progress does not control my future. Success will come to the one who refuses to quit." This battle was not outside in the world. It was inside his own mind. And slowly, persistence became his strongest weapon. Small steps, big results. Every day David repeated small actions. They did not look powerful at first, but like drops of water wearing down a stone, they made a difference. He wrote down his goals again and again. He reminded himself why he had started. He guarded his mind against negativity. And every evening, he reviewed what he had done to get closer to his purpose. Napoleon Hill said, "Persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. Without it, strength is weak. With it, ordinary effort becomes unbreakable." David saw this truth. Each day of persistence made him stronger. His confidence grew, his focus sharpened, and opportunities started to appear where before there had been only obstacles. The hidden door. One afternoon, David faced a big challenge. A business deal he had hoped for collapsed. He felt crushed. It seemed like all his effort had been wasted. For a brief moment, quitting looked easy. But then, he remembered the story of the gold miner who stopped digging just 3 feet from the richest vein of gold. Someone else picked up the work and struck fortune because they kept going. David asked himself, "Am I about to stop 3 feet from my own gold?" With new energy, he pushed forward. He knocked on more doors, reached out to more people, and refined his ideas. Weeks later, one of those contacts opened the very opportunity he had been waiting for. That moment felt like a hidden door opening. Suddenly, all his persistence made sense. Persistence builds character. Through this experience, David discovered something greater than success itself. The transformation of his own character. He was no longer the man who doubted himself. He was no longer the dreamer who started but never finished. He had become a man of persistence, unshakable and determined. Napoleon Hill wrote that persistence is built through purpose, desire, faith, and habit. David now carried all these within him. His purpose was clear, his desire strong, his faith alive, and his habits disciplined. The lesson for you: the story of David is the story of every dreamer. The world is full of people who quit too soon. They stop digging when the gold is only a few feet away. They let tiredness, fear, or discouragement steal their future. But if you choose persistence, if you refuse to quit, you will discover the hidden door to your own success. Remember this simple truth: a small stream can cut through rock if it flows without stopping. A single flame can burn bright if it refuses to die. And a determined person can achieve anything if they keep moving forward. Call to action. So, my friend, as you listen to this story, ask yourself, where have I given up too early? Where can I apply persistence today? What dream deserves my unbreakable commitment? Write your goals down. Review them daily. Refuse to quit, even when the results seem far away. Your persistence will become your bridge to success. And if this story inspired you, I invite you, backhand index pointing right, subscribe for more lessons. Backhand index pointing right, share this with someone who needs encouragement. Backhand index pointing right, and comment below with your dream. Let persistence carry you to it. White heavy check mark, word count 10-15, kept within your request. This part is fully in line with Napoleon Hill's philosophy, focusing on persistence, faith, purpose, and the 3 feet from goal. principle. Would you like me to now prepare part 6, final part, as the grand summary of all Napoleon Hill principles for your audience? Here's part 6, final part, of your motivational story series, written in easy and simple English, based on Napoleon Hill's principles. It ends with a call to action for like, share, subscribe, and comments. Part 6. The Unshakable Mind and the Final Promise. James sat by the old oak tree in his backyard one cool evening. The sky glowed with orange and purple, and the air felt quiet, almost holy. He had come a long way. From a man filled with doubt and hesitation, he had grown into someone strong, focused, and deeply sure of himself. Yet tonight, he felt something stir inside. It was the call to complete his journey, the final test of his will, faith, and discipline. He remembered the teachings that had carried him so far. Definiteness of purpose, mastery of self, discipline of thought, persistence in action, the power of faith. These were not just ideas anymore. They had become the foundation of his daily life. But there was one lesson left, the most important of all, becoming unshakable. The last lesson. Earlier that day, his mentor, Mr. Carter, had said, "James, success is not about reaching one mountain peak. It is about building the strength to face every storm without breaking. The world will test you. People will doubt you. Life will throw challenges at your feet. But if your mind is unshakable, you will stand tall no matter what happens." James thought about these words. He had achieved small victories already, waking up with purpose, setting daily goals, working with discipline, and refusing to quit when things got hard. But deep inside, he knew that real strength was not about winning one battle. It was about never letting fear, anger, or self-doubt control him again. He realized that to be unshakable meant living by his purpose, no matter what the outside world said. The test of fire. The test came sooner than expected. At his workplace, James had been building a project for months. It was his vision, his dream. But suddenly, the company faced financial trouble. His boss told him the project would be cut, and some of his colleagues mocked him, saying, "All that effort for nothing." For a moment, James felt the old fear rising. Doubt whispered, "Maybe they are right. Maybe you wasted your time." But then he remembered Napoleon Hill's teaching. Every failure carries with it the seed of equal or greater benefit. Temporary defeat is not permanent failure. The man who cannot be broken by disappointment will eventually bend the world in his favor. James stood tall. He refused to let their words control him. Instead of anger, he felt calm. Instead of despair, he felt determination. He thought, "If this door closes, it means a greater one is waiting. I will not let this defeat define me." That night, instead of crying over his loss, he opened his notebook and began writing a new plan. Becoming the master of himself. The following weeks tested him again and again. People around him complained about the economy, about politics, about how success was impossible. But James did not join them. He had learned that complaining weakens the mind, while discipline strengthens it. Every morning, he repeated his definite purpose aloud. "I will live with focus, courage, and faith. I will not be shaken by fear or doubt. I will keep moving forward until I succeed." Slowly, opportunities began to return. He was invited to work with a new team, one that valued his vision. His calm strength impressed them. They trusted him because he no longer wavered. James had finally become the master of his emotions, his thoughts, and his time. The final promise months later, standing in front of his new team, James shared the secret of his transformation. He said, "Success is not luck. It is not magic. It is built by daily discipline, by refusing to quit, by speaking your purpose into life, and by guarding your mind from fear. If you treat your goal as a promise, a sacred promise, then nothing can stop you. The world may shake, but you will not. That is the secret." His words inspired others. Many who had once laughed at him now asked for his advice. And James smiled, knowing that the greatest reward was not the recognition, but the man he had become. He had turned his struggle into strength. He had turned his fear into faith. He had turned his doubts into unshakable confidence. And most importantly, he had kept his promise to himself. Napoleon Hill's final principle in action. As James walked home that evening, he whispered one last lesson to himself. Guard your mind. Refuse to be shaken. Live with definite purpose. Act with discipline every day. Turn defeats into seeds of greater success. This, he knew, was the path Napoleon Hill had spoken about. And now, he was living proof. Call to action. If this story inspired you, remember, your journey starts today, not tomorrow. Take one step now. Write your purpose. Speak it aloud. Live it as if it is already true. Glowing star, be unshakable. Become the master of your destiny. Glowing star, backhand index pointing right. If you enjoyed this final part, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more motivational stories. Speech Alone, and in the comments, tell us, what promise are you making to yourself today?